Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 5th of May. I have to apologize. My microphone might be a little not hot enough. There we go. Anyways, let's, I haven't even really looked at the markets yet, so let's just go in and take a look at things and see where we're at. All right. Wow. It does seem, so yesterday, let's start out. Yesterday they had a pretty good sell at the open, but they recovered and they went higher. We've been seeing this a lot, like it happened over here. There's some other days over here where it kind of did that. It's been a common occurrence in this market. They'll sell at the open and ultimately move higher, and often the buying is at the end of the day. So they moved up to their daily target, but only at the end of the day. Then here overnight we've had another push higher. It is just a retracement of this down move, but still. And then this drop here, I'm not quite sure what caused that. Probably some Chinese news or something. Let's go in here into Discord and see if they have been able to sniff out what that was. I'm sure there's probably some Chinese data or European data in there. Let's see here. My algos on euros cleaned up today. Thanks, ECB. I don't know. Anyways, treasuries, let's see where treasuries are at. So treasuries were seeing some heavy selling yesterday, and now today there was a little bit of a dip and popped back up. Interesting. We've had this, there's been this support area here, like here and here for a long time now. Almost like what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? And even, frankly, even going back even further. So I think we got to stay on our toes, but that there's probably still some support there. All right. And we're positive at the moment. So I need, where's my 5-minute chart? There we go. That's what I want. All right, cool. So we're all set. And I also just so you know, I added a market depth tape over here yesterday. I don't think we really talked about it, but added one here for ES. And actually, maybe should turn on. Oh, I didn't do it. So let's do chirp.wave, and let's remove it from the treasuries here, so that we hear the evening ones. All right. There is, E-minis look relatively active here. Oh, and do we have news at 6:30? We do. We've got, we got Redbook today. Import prices. Let's just double check here with Forex Factory. Sometimes they're a little different. Tuesday, May 5th. Trade balance looking for a reading of negative 41.0 billion. Also, we've got ISM non-manufacturing PMI at 10 o'clock. Okay, so might be a little constrained today because of that. That's usually how things work out with that one. See that? I turned it up and I can hear the noise floor. I can hear the noise floor of my sound card, which drives me crazy. You probably can't hear it, but for me, it really bothers me. So I'm just gonna turn that down a little bit. Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully you can hear that just fine. Let me know if you have problems with the audio. You want me to modify it. I also need to turn on the text to speech here. Oh, I can still hear it. How about there? There we go. That's probably better. I don't know if that's too quiet. I might I might be too compressed at times. Gonna have to go back and listen over to it. The treasury is right there at 26. Look at that. Yeah, that's just too soft. I'm just gonna turn it up like that and deal with it. I don't know why I wasn't noticing it before, but I can hear it now all of a sudden. I probably need to upgrade. Like the Focusrite was a good deal, and there's some things that I can do with it, and it's probably worth keeping. But I probably need to upgrade to an Go XLR, or not even the XLR, just the little one. Just the little one would be fine. Now they're close to the high of the day, aren't they? That sell was not just a little thing either. They quite went. What about oil? Oil's at 22. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's interesting. Let me pull up the volume chart here really quick. Huh. They're up higher up there in the upper left. The whole thing with oil is really interesting. I really think that they were just fine at 20 and then retail came in and sold it. I'm not sure that $20 an hour barrel of $20 an hour, $20 barrel of oil really. I mean, I don't know how to price that. It seems though like that below that would be kind of silly, even with really low demand. But if I guess if you're really trying to get rid of it, I guess if you're really trying to get rid of it. There we go. Well,
Air Cages says short or long today?
very good question. Uh, I think that overall, probably we have to lean long, but that could change very quickly. Um, I don't know where. Oh, we'd have to get all the way to 28.27 to turn the day negative. That's about 30 points away.
Winston's mom says hello, and dare I say, happy Tuesday, May 5th, and what's on
Hey,
our
good.
schedule this
Hello,
morning?
Win.
Hello, everyone watching who knows I will now say, please hit like, thanks.
Well, so we've got some ISM non-manufacturing PMI at 8 o'clock. When we saw the PMI numbers last week for manufacturing, they weren't like terribly off or that bad. We're looking for a reading of 27, which is really quite low. Um, it's likely though the next month's PMIs are going to be the ones that are like really bad. Based off of what I've heard. I don't really know it exactly, but those numbers tend to lag just a little bit. They can lag a little bit. Sometimes they're predictive, but they often lag a little bit. So I don't know, why is that one white. Oh, is that just because I had it selected? Okay, well, the bonds were able to are dipped there for a little bit, but they came back to 26. You can see a little bit of, I don't know. Move this out here. Oh, wrong one. It's this one. Okay, cool. I'm just going to clear things out here so I can see orders. Haven't seen any big orders in ZF, huh? I have that set up correctly. Size filter 500. Size filter 100. Yeah, I guess we're just not getting big trades in the 5 and the 30. I don't know. It was looking fairly active at the start, but at the moment looks pretty quiet to me. Now, I think they're probably going to go and make a run for this ATR stop. So 28.60.75.
Brad W. says, good morning. When did you start streaming?
So we start streaming about 6:20. Sometimes I'm a little late. Sorry, 6:20 my time, 8:20 Eastern time. Definitely by 8:30 we're going. But that is when the options pit opens, so that's when we start streaming. Maybe 5 minutes before that if I'm having a good, because I get to eat breakfast. I got to eat breakfast, got to sleep. Probably I'm haven't been as on the ball with that lately as I should be. Probably need to work on shortening the showers again, but it just feels so good. Oh man, in the morning, my back tends to lock up, and overnight doesn't always help, even though I have a really good mattress. You need that warm water to loosen it up. Excuse me. Okay, well, they're going to want to close it below 28.75 there. And it'll make our little line here on the chart break and get everybody out of the trade. Yep, there we go. They did it. Oh, you know what I'm missing? You know what I'm missing? Twitter.
Winston's mom says, and there's a baby to take care, son Conyers to fed, a rabbit
Yeah.
waiting to play, kids at home instead of school. Other than that, speculator Seth live streams. Oh, and he has a real full-time job. Lol.
Right. They were complaining yesterday. Sometimes I argue with them, with the kids, just to argue with them. But I was making breakfast yesterday, and I dropped the plate on the ground, and it was really loud. And so of course they all heard it and complained about it later in the day. And I was like, because they went to bed late last night. They went to bed at the same time as me, but they go to bed late. And I'm like, well, I think the only thing you can do about that is go to bed earlier. Because I'm like, I'll do all this. I'm trying hard. I don't think that I'm like amazingly productive. Really, it's really something that I struggle with, but it's also something that I try really hard at, especially lately with the stream and everything like that. And they're the kids. They're at home. Their schoolwork is a joke, frankly. I'm not too impressed with what that the at home schoolwork, and then they stay up late, And then they're complaining. Well, don't stay up late. Mm-mm-mm-mm. That rabbit. That rabbit doesn't play, though. That rabbit is so overly chill. Like, that's the thing that I don't think people understand. I think people think, oh, rabbits, they jump and play and they're so fun. But you got to be gentle with a rabbit. If you start to play with the way that a human thinks that play is, rabbit thinks you're going to eat him. So you got to be gentle with it. This is why rabbits make really poor pets for kids, because kids generally are not gentle and calm. It's the same with the birds. You got to be calm around the birds or they think something's up. And the kids don't seem to know how to deal with it. Even Asher, I think, is afraid of the bird because he screams. He doesn't like it. Yeah, I'm in just looking at the 10-year here, not really seeing a lot of trade coming through. They did go down and break the range and stop everybody out, but right back into it. So we might not get a trade here for a few minutes. I don't know. We
Brad
might have
W
to wait
says,
for the
what
open.
future markets do you trade?
So I have up here on the DOM, the ones that I put trades in are going to be the 10-year and the micro ES futures. That's what I tend to look at. But what you have up here, if you just look at the top of the DOMs, you can see MES, ES, ZB is 30-year bond, ZN is 10-year treasury, and ZF is 5-year treasury. I kind of want to add some more. They're changing the instrument characteristics of the 3-year to make it a little bit more like the 5-year, including changing the Q to first in, first out. So that would be tradable. And frankly, the 5-year is tradable, although, it's not as attractive as the ZN because of commissions. But we could still trade it. Maybe that would be better. The 5-year tends to move a lot. I don't know. Frankly, you know what I want? You know what I think they should do? Stick with me here. Micro ZB. Because honestly, ZB is the one that everybody wants in right now. ZB is the one that's moving. Everybody's going into the long-term debt, not the short-term debt. So, but it's like $31 a tick. It's expensive. I mean, obviously, if you're making money with it, then it's great. But if you're losing money with it, then it's awful. So I say, micro ZB, huh? $3 a tick. I think that would be awesome. I think that would work. Wait, Elon Musk and Grimes have a baby boy? Seeing that on Twitter. Why did I open up Twitter? I need TweetDeck. Ex-FDA chief warns U.S. may not be able to lower
Winston's mom
coronavirus
says, did you
infection
listen
rate.
to Warren Buffett speak at Berkshire Hathaway? He was scheduled for an hour and he spoke for 4.5 hours with only one reporter in the room while he live streamed. I've watched most of it.
Oh, really? I mean, I didn't watch it, but I've definitely heard all about it. It sounds to me like he's still not buying stuff. It sounds to me like he's still waiting for the valuations to come down. His strategy is all based on valuations. But I don't know. This market doesn't seem to be cooperating, does it? Like, it should sell and it's not.
Winston's
who
mom
knows if
says
it
you can
ever
catch
will.
5 to 10 minute videos of his key points on YouTube.
Yeah, so 4 hours, it might be worth watching. To have a slow day at work. The thing is it hasn't been slow at work. Oh my gosh! Yesterday we had to a key member of our team left, and so when he did that, we needed to change all of the passwords and everything, and we did that. But so much chaos
Roberto
comes from
Solar
changing
says, could you talk
passwords.
about algo trading? Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, I've done a lot of programming, And I can definitely help you if you want Ninja script programming. Um, the I don't have any algos that I think are really worth trading. So in terms of like, do you want some tips on like a really good algo to go into? I haven't seen one that's like really good. Other than if you wanted to scalp
Lean
for
Umbrella
like
says, do you
ticks.
recommend a good algo trading for Ninja?
No, only if you're scalping for ticks, unfortunately. Level 2 is predictive. If you're using level 2 and you're fast, then you can get ticks. But unfortunately, everybody else is just going to be faster than you for that sort of a thing, right? So that means that you have to go for something a little bit longer term. So it kind of turns into um, setting up the filters and everything right so that you take a trade in an advantageous market
Winston's mom
condition.
says one of Speculators' regulars here is named Algo
Oh,
Trader.
yeah.
When he arrives this morning, Seth, will he know a lot about algo trading?
Well, he's never explained
Baron
how
Glass
he
says,
gets his
good
level.
morning, Seth, in chat.
Good morning. A couple of new people, so thank you guys. Welcome. He comes in and he gives us a level, and I don't know how he determines that level, but he says that he's looking at a large algorithm that appears to dominate the market to see where it is going long and short and switching and so forth. So, and it tends to work out pretty well. Although I think that our VIX range estimate is a better number to go off of. We'll give you guys that number when the market, 5-10 minutes after the market opens. You remind me, and we'll give you that number, and it tends to be pretty spot on to where the indexes are going that day. Anyways, so
The Funny World says, when will you take trade, buddy?
when there's a trade. I've been getting that question a little bit more recently, and I find it kind of interesting. You take a trade when there's an opportunity. And the key thing, especially as a retail trader scalping, you want to be very selective with your trades because if it's not a high probability trade, then you're likely to just pay commissions, and commissions can just bleed you dry. So if we get a signal, if we see something that really screams at us that we should be taking a position, then we'll take one. But right now, the market seems pretty slow. And today, there might not be a whole lot of opportunity early on because we have these PMI numbers. So if you're a big fund, right, like you're a hedge fund or, the guys that are playing in the futures, you're not looking to take big positions on right now. I would hope not. I mean, yeah, you might want to be playing the news, but I think if you're playing the news, you've already long done that. You will see a couple of people try and get in just before the news, but generally, people are going to take risk off of the table until the event has happened, and then we'll see how it plays out. But of course, it's also this market is a little weird with news because it kind of almost doesn't matter what the number ends up being, doesn't it?
The Funny World says, in which stock?
No, we're not trading stocks, we're trading futures. I call it big boy trading, mostly because I want to feel superior to all of those Robinhood stock traders. And while I do feel superior to those Robinhood stock traders, we should keep in mind that trading is really hard, and probably all of us are far under equipped to really be trading this compared to the professionals that we're trading against. And so, but yes, we're trading treasury futures and equity index futures. Let's read all of these here.
Quasar says, hi Seth, just read this on the CME. You might find it interesting, winking face. They reintroduced the 3Y bond in July.
Yes, we were talking about that just a
Winston's
little
mom
bit a
says,
while ago.
in which stock? Hi, the Funny World, and hello to everyone else who is new to Speculators' channel. Seth trades in the Amini. Do you want to explain that to a bit further?
Sure.
K9 says, hey Seth, on your SDOM, what is the timeout in milliseconds of the recent bid ask column on Sierra chart? It is default to 0, so only last
Sure.
trade is on the ladders.
Okay, so let's answer that one first, 'cause this is a good question here. I think I have it to 10 seconds. Oh, in the micro ES, I only have it at 2500. Let's change that. I really think that I don't really think it matters too much, but you know, I think it matters much more in treasuries. So like here's the thing in the e-mini, I want to know more where are people actually placing their trades. So that's why I have it as a higher number so that I can kind of judge. Oh, they're trading like 200, 500 contracts here and only 50 contracts here, and so appears to be, well, up here there was a 300, right? Right now they're not really trading a whole lot, but that's why I have it higher in the treasury. It is nice. I know that John Grady, he has his some set to 10 seconds, but I leave mine at the default 2.5 because if it moves up and then it ticks back down, I want to know how many contracts it's taking to clear it every time, right? 984. Like, to me that matters. I want to know when it turns to, like, you know they only clear it with 80 contracts and it ticks up, and what I want to see that people are clearly pulling out of the way. Okay. So, Seth trades email. Do you want to explain that a bit further? Yes. So, oh wait, hold on. Did I
The
miss
funny world
something?
says yes, buddy. Futures means big investment for big
Well,
profit. Lol.
so here's the thing: is that futures is a pure zero sum game, right? Like when you're trading in stocks, it's a little bit different because stocks tend to move up. You getting in stocks and you're in them for a long time, you're almost guaranteed to make money. Futures, though, you only make money from other people losing. It's straight up a zero sum. There's not any of this, like, the asset underlying increases in value, and so everybody that's participating in it doesn't work like that. The number of long positions is equal to the number of short positions in terms of number of contracts, and so um, to make money in futures, you have to have an edge on the market, or you're going to lose. And that's why 95% of futures traders lose money. So when we're looking at futures, you really got to think of it as like pure trading. Like we are watching what other people in the market are doing and making decisions based off of that and the price action, and of course the fundamentals and everything are kind of matter, but it's very different from stocks. Like most of the guys that you're going to see on YouTube for stocks, are a really key part to their strategy is identifying which stock is moving to go in and play it, right? In futures, you don't have that. In futures, you pick a product and you just focus on that product and learn what affects that product and how it tends to move. So that is what makes it different. Um, and of course, there is equity index futures, which we do trade. And the nice thing about equity index futures is they move around a lot, so there's more trade opportunities. Um, and we trade micro futures, so there's like S&P 500 futures, which are really quite big. And then they created mini futures, and that's what everybody trades. So that's this one right here. And a point in the E-mini, so 4 ticks, is $50. This is 12.50 for a point, right? Well, in the micros, it's 1/10 of that, so it's basically like $1.50 for every tick, or $5 for a full point. So that's the S&P 500 futures. That's basically how it works, and we're trading the index essentially. It moves based off of what the index does.
The funny world says your answer was very clear. I like it. So what kind of trader you are, the price action trader or support and resistant trader?
I tell you what, price action sure is popular these days. I've heard a lot of people come talking to me. They want to talk about price action, and I've never taken any of these courses like Albrook's, so I'm not even sure I completely understand what they mean by price action. To me, price action is just like how it moves and reacts. If we come down to a level and it's really slow, and then we bounce off of that level and things pick up, that to me is price action. But what we're doing is we're looking at order flow primarily. I of course I have a bunch of things, and I care a lot about um on looking at multiple time frames and seeing where they're at on the multiple time frames to find time periods where it's advantageous for us to trade. But I'm also looking at the order flow. So we can see here on the DOM, and this is the thing that makes futures special, is I can see literally every limit order that's out there. I can see what everybody else is doing. I can't, compile it down together to say this one guy bought X amount. I wish I could, but I can see that overall, the market has 19,000 offers put out in the 10-year treasury and about 18,000 bids put out there in the closest 10 levels. So I can kind of judge what the balance is between supply and demand on both the buy side and the sell side. And I use that to judge my entries in addition to the stats that I've pulled out about the market. So I consider I would call it a DOM trader, or a order flow is kind of the search terms that I would search for to learn more.
The Funny World says, can you please show us how will you take trade in a live example?
He's
right now.
So anxious to see us trade. Patience, my friend. I tell you, most of trading is boring. That's why we have this stream, because a lot of the guys are like, you're sitting waiting for a trade and need something to do. Somebody, because man, when you're sitting there by yourself, it sucks. It sucks when you're sitting there by yourself and it's a slow market like it is right now. Like, honestly, we've moved 2 points in the last 20 minutes. Down, up, down, up. It's gonna be
The
I don't
Funny
know.
World says we need action, buddy. Lol.
We might not have it. It might be another 45 minutes before we have a real opportunity, unfortunately.
Brad W says, how many lots do you play with?
Well, sometimes I'll move up. I'll take as many as 8 on micros, but that usually means either I'm on tilt. a lot of that is sim trade, right? If I'm trading multiple contracts, it's usually sim. I'm really, really low risk. I'm trying to risk as little as possible, and there are some serious disadvantages because a lot of the edge that you're going to find in futures is how you manage your position and how you manage the risk. And if you have multiple contracts, then you can manage that risk a lot more easily. So trading with one contract is very, very hard, but I like it because I can just minimize the amount that I'm actually spending, and I'm not looking to hit it big and get rich. I love trading, and so we just want to trade and minimize our losses as much as possible, right? So usually I'm only trading with one contract. What's this question from K9 here?
K9 says, on Jigsaw, can you have the volume bar on the recent bid? Ask, have a longer timeout than what's traded. That way you can see range traded as well as last size traded through. Thanks.
The volume bar on the recent bid ask. I'm not sure I completely understand your question. But I mean, if we want to change something that's not there, I have a lot of stuff up here that I don't actively use, and if we want to change a particular setting, we can certainly do that. I don't. Maybe you're talking about the power bar. I don't know. You have to be a little bit more specific. There also this section that will just show me volume overall. Maybe that's what you're talking about.
Roberto Solar says, but what happens in DOM? Does it not reflect it on the price? Why look at the DOM?
Well, so for instance, one good reason to look at the DOM would be that it can show you where potential support and resistances. So you're actually seeing a really good example of this right now in the oil. Let me pull up my pen here so I can draw. Okay. So do you see down here? This is oil. So the white areas are where there's more orders, right? So you can see there's a little area of liquidity that they're trying to get to. And liquidity, it depends on the market, but liquidity often acts as a magnet. They will try and go towards the liquidity. But then liquidity is also kind of like, a barrier. So what will happen is they'll move into the liquidity. They'll try and push through it. If they push through it, then they can break through, right? And that's a breakout. But if they don't, then they'll get bounced back up through it. So those are the sorts of things that we're looking at. Like if I saw it come up into this area here, you can see they're pulling a little bit as they come up into it, right? How it kind of changed there. But let's say that we came up into here and they traded through it, and then they started trading back out. And when we started trading back out, we saw that liquidity return and even grow stronger. That's a really solid indication that there is really significant resistance there and that we're going to bounce hard off of it. So those are the sorts of things that you're looking at in the DOM. Another way of looking at it, kind of a different paradigm, is just look at what is being placed out there as volume. It is volume. It's people actually entering orders. It's just orders that aren't necessarily filled yet. So they can pull, but it kind of gives you an indication of interest, and it's useful compared to regular volume because it can tell you at any one instance, any one point, which price they're interested in, right? First of all, and then number two is that level 2 is instant, right? It is literally the fastest that stuff that you can get. Most of your indicators, most of your technical analysis, a lot of the problems that I've had in backtesting strategies is they always get in late. You're always, the indicator sees the move after it's happened, it's always late. Whereas level 2 can actually be predictive, right? So that's where we go. I'm going to try and read all your comments. There's a lot
Brad
of comments
W.
today.
says treating out of boredom has ruined me a few times. Getting better about playing with boredom.
Oh, yeah. Knowing when to trade is huge. And I have a really hard time with it, too. I'm a little ADHD, and I like to click, but I've gotten a lot better at knowing when there's opportunity and when there's not. And I know right now that there's not a whole lot of opportunity in the market. Now, here coming up the next 5 minutes, we might see something happen. So let's stay sharp here.
K9 says you know the volume bar in the bid and ask.
Maybe you're talking about this. You're talking about the actual amount on the bid and the ask. And you're saying, can you have the volume bar have a longer timeout than what's traded? I'm not sure. It still doesn't make sense. But this column right here are limit orders placed on the exchange, right? That's limit buy orders, limit sell orders. That's what that is. Those are contracts out there that people want to buy or sell at that spot, but they're not filled yet, right? And the only way that they get filled is market orders come in and hit them, right? Like that. And that's what these middle columns are the market orders hitting the limit. Let's see here. I've seen volume bars on the inside bid ask if you don't have it on, but wondering if that has a separate timeout. Yeah, I mean, these columns on the inside, when it ticks up and then it ticks back down, it will reset, and you can adjust the time on that. And that's what I was just showing you earlier was I have it set to 10 seconds.
Gary Rich says just send me your money. I'll teach a little bit of everything and little of nothing.
Gary has donated a little bit to our channel, and I appreciate it. So if you return the favor to him.
RJ Wheel says indicators should be called validators.
Yeah, I agree. I'm noticing that some of the best indicators are really just filters. They're really just telling you don't trade this direction, right?
Air Cages says DOMs are great for ADHD.
Well, it's everything's always a double-edged sword in trading, right? I mean, yeah, it keeps you interested, but then it also makes you want to trade.
Winston's mom says the hormone and neurotransmitter C8H11NO2,
Never
commonly
heard of
known as
that.
dopamine, plays a
Oh, it's
major role
dopamine.
in reward-motivated behavior. When you make a trade, your brain gets a hit of happy hormones. Slot machine high. Winston's mom says good morning, Gary Rich, and don't you wield your blue wrench well. Lol, how is Border Collie? Are you staying safe and smart and indoors as much as possible?
Oh man, I've been indoors too much, man. I'm starting to think like, hey, we need to go to a rave or something and just meet new people because okay, so did you see that right there? So something's happening. So let's focus a little bit. I'm just gonna turn you guys on auto read so you can keep asking your questions, but I'm gonna try and focus over here now. Let's see if they're starting the price discovery process here. Kind of look like they are. See, somebody's trying to buy it up and push it. One thing I will say is these middle columns are really essential, especially in the ES, because if you just looked at how much traded for it to clear, it, most of the orders pull. Like most of the orders pull. Okay, so that did definitely ended up being an outside bar. Well, I'm not seeing guys putting orders
Winston's
up
mom
though.
says ADHD is now known as executive brain. It is the inability to be attentive or task-focused, a glitch, a cognitive disconnect that medication helps with. The
Right.
gifted kids tend to have ADHD.
Well, remember that ADHD is basically like neurotransmitters basically make it so that it's easier for a brain cell to pass a signal on, right? Like neurotransmitter makes the nerve more excitable, so it requires a smaller impulse to make the thing. That's why when you have things where they have too much, you get things like uh, well, not seizures, but the brain becomes overactive in areas where it shouldn't be. So, but it's not just dopamine. We always focus on dopamine, but dopamine is definitely a critical part. But it's also norepinephrine. Norepinephrine plays a really big part. And talking to you guys and when you're placing a trade and everything, that produces norepinephrine, and then that kind can make you a little bit more focused.
Winston's mom says with ADHD, they suggest
Yeah.
every 20 minutes you get up, shake it off, and drink something sugary.
Well, I think I'm pretty good on the I definitely have enough glucose going into my brain usually, especially if I'm focused and I'm not. Like, I mean, it's when you start losing. That's when it kind of messes you up, right? Because you take a trade, you have the stress of taking the trade, but then you don't get the neurotransmitter reward to keep you focused. And so you can just kind of fall apart and not even realize that you're doing it. This is why tilt is a thing. This is why tilt is a thing. You got to be careful with it. Okay, 2862. Hmm. So they were making a run up there, but Mhm. So you kind of can see it's kind of slowing down. Let's pull up let's pull up this here for a second. Okay. Well, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So I guess I got to wait a little bit more. I'm thinking now that they've come up here and they're slowing
Winston's
down that
mom
they
says
might
my
turn back
husband
down
plays
again, but
blackjack in tournaments, so I have spent some time in
oh,
casinos.
really?
I don't like to gamble, get bored at the slots, so I have often wondered if something in my brain misses that chemical.
Well, you're probably more serotonin um deprived is how to explain it. The which everybody tends to be somewhat deficient in one of the chemicals. That's just the way that our brain works. It doesn't mean that it's like a problem or anything. It just means you have less of that than the other chemicals. And so that tends to be the sorts of activity that reward you. So if you're
Dan H says I
serotonin
like craps
deprived,
better. I can break even all night.
if you're serotonin deprived, then you will tend to like tasks that are repetitive. I don't know if that's you. You might be serotonin, you might be dopamine.
Roberto Solar says, are you still using Ninja Trader? You still thinking is the best?
Yeah, I definitely still use Ninja Trader, and I think I have my charts over here. I think that for the ecosystem, it's the best platform because of the Ninja Trader ecosystem and the programming. But there's some problems with Ninja Trader because they've become a brokerage and they're trying to push everybody over into the brokerage. If you don't want to use the Ninja Trader brokerage, it's starting to kind
Winston's
of
mom says I
become
am an introverted
yeah.
intuitive, more left than right brain, so yes, I understand what you mean. Acetylcholine is a chemical I am deprived of. And serotonin plus I lack sulfur and iron, we are what we eat.
Yeah. So if you're more serotonin deprived, then you're going to prefer consistency in things. That's what my wife is very much the serotonin type. So you're going to play things safe more often and you're going to enjoy like a lot of typically girly tasks like cross stitching. Like my wife can do these things that are I consider so tedious. Just spending hours working on something and doing a repetitive task to create a larger thing. But serotonin types love that stuff. Whereas I'm more of the norepinephrine type, and the norepinephrine type is kind of more driven by social praise. Which is maybe why I end up streaming, right? Because nothing seems to fill that gap more than streaming and having people to talk to and
The Funny
feeling good
World
about the
says,
stream
why
doing
don't you
well.
keep price chart in full screen instead of bid and ask chart?
Price chart full screen instead of bid ask chart. Well, the main thing that I watch is the DOM. I only kind of refer back to my charts as kind of a reference prices. Like if you look at my chart here, you notice that I'm primarily just checking to see, are we positive or negative on the hour? We just went positive on the hour there, right? That's kind of why we're having this little move here.
Bot
Let's see
says
if
you
they
need to
turn back
find the
down.
chemical that makes you want to take some trades.
You think that I should take a trade too? Well, I could have taken the long there, couldn't I? I was kind of waiting to see if they were going to turn back down, though. And I don't know, that little bit of volume there was a little bit much. Kind of makes me a little, I don't know. Maybe there's something going on, but let's see if they hold it, right? Because they're crossing back over it. They're still kind of fighting it out. In fact, that one actually could be a shooting star.
Gary Rich says at Mom, the border collie and I are well. We are in the lab working on a new delivery system for endorphin highs. Air Cages says the only way to get good at something is to do it.
I say get good at preserving capital. Hey, listen, it's really easy to take trades.
Winston's
I
mom
tell you
says,
what.
good morning, bots, and have you found the perfect chemical that makes you take some trades or whatever your trader's gonna trade? Little heart desires.
It depends on your type. See, for Wynn's type, if assuming that she is kind of more the serotonin type, right? Serotonin type tends to want to play it safe. So that person might get in a situation where they're getting a really strong signal that they should take a position and they're too afraid to do it. But that is not me. I always want to take a trade. And the thing for me is to only take a trade in favorable
Roberto Solar
conditions.
says that indicator in the chart is super trend based on ATR.
I have a super trend on there. Yes, I have a super trend and I have a moving average.
Winston's mom says, in the lab, Border Collie would probably like a golden lab to play with. Don't
And
blow anything up, Breaking Bad style.
the dotted line is an ATR stop, essentially. That's why I was looking at it here and I was saying, well, they're probably going to try and stop them out. And of course they did. And then they go back up. It's very common for them to do that. Anyways, but again, they're kind of more they're guides for me to see when it's safe to take a trade. Man, they took it there. I don't know. It bothers me that they peaked there. They could totally come up again. Like we can let them base out and we could take a long again, but that fizzled out a little too quickly. I think that was just a short-term trade, like somebody trying to make something happen and not necessarily a larger something's coming sort of a trade that we would want to front run. Also, I should note that the treasuries did move down a good clip there, right? We're now at 24.
Bot says, hasn't Winston's mum decided on what trading platform to use yet?
Oh, that's a good question. Because I would probably think you're either going to go with NinjaTrader as your broker. Because if you're using NinjaTrader, it just makes sense to use them as a broker right now. Or you've got to move over to the other stuff like, well, hopefully at some point Jigsaw gets charts and they're good. In the meantime, if you want a full package, I guess Sierra Charts is a really good option. Sierra Charts is, I don't know. It's a month, $50 monthly, I guess, isn't a huge deal. What's Donald Trump tweeting here? Governors should let roads and highway construction begin before heavy traffic starts, which will be soon. Some governors never stopped, which proved to be very smart. They built and fixed roads during long, no traffic periods and also saved big dollars. Interesting that he is tweeting about that. Non-farm payroll was delayed by a week, was it? They're saying in Discord. I don't know. That up move really fizzled out quickly. Yeah, I'm just looking at it like I could have possibly have taken 28.62 or 28.63, but I'm just the overall context and
Quasar
time
says
of it
Ninja is
doesn't
very expensive,
match.
damn. Have you tried CTS? The DOM is awesome, and their FCM can give crazy low commissions.
Oh, really? I
Winston's
have to
mom
check
says
it
no,
out.
bots I need to seriously sit down and commit to something. I'll have an answer by Friday and see if you guys agree this is where I should start.
Well, here's what I would do is just get. So I always recommend trying the NinjaTrader demo first, just because it's the most accessible thing, and they give you the data. I don't know if anybody else has as good of a demo, so that's where I would start. Just try that, and then once you've traded for a little bit on demo, you kind of get an idea of what things matter to you in your particular style of trading, and then you can go and look at the platforms and see what you really want to get. I am familiar with CTS, but I've never tried it. So maybe one to put on my list. There's so many platforms.
Dan H says Mutacharts is not bad for programming as well.
Yeah,
DJ Spinglass says good morning.
Okay.
What is you data provider and can you say a bit about the fractal theory of the markets? Thanks.
Yeah, sure. So this one will take a little bit.
Winston's mom says NinjaTrader demo. Got it. I'll do that.
Yes. Okay, so I'm using CQG right now, and the reason I'm using CQG is because I want to get the tick and trend data, which are these indexes that tell you information about how many stocks are up or how many stocks are down. So I would really like to take it short here, but I think it's too close to the open. I would need to wait for a little bit stronger of an indication here than that. Oh, maybe I should take it. I do. Well, I'm not seeing. I do see that they turned down. No, we gotta wait. It's like less than 13 minutes to the open. That's way too close. Okay. Anyway, so fractal theory of markets. Let's do this again. Here, look, I got this new thing. We haven't used this yet. I got a Wacom tablet. So let's let's use the Wacom tablet. All right. Let's see if I can. Let's see how good I can do with this. Okay. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh yeah, we need to move it way over here. Okay. And that and that. Okay, so when we're doing this, if we have a oh wait, we need to change. We need to turn this on. Where did it go? It's over here. Okay, so if we have a function, the f of x equals y. Okay, y is the market. Okay, and this is trading, right? What we do is we take y and we do f of y equals z of s, which is Seth's strategy, right? And f of y, or sorry, this should be s right here. F of ys equals, or sorry, let's do John. So yb equals zb. You see what I did there? Okay. And then what we do is we take the sum, or how do we do this? The sum of z s through z, all of these, right? The sum of all of these is equal to x, right? So that's what makes it a fractal function. The output of this is the input of this, and the output of all of these equals the input of this. And what you get when you have a fractal function is that a small change, because you're basically, every time that you iterate, the changes are multiplying on top of each other over and over again. So the resulting output is very difficult to predict. We can't come in and say, okay, so if we change ys just a little bit like this, what is going to be the net effect on the system 6 iterations from now? There's no way that we currently know of with our math to calculate that. The only way that we can calculate that is by iterating through it 5 times and finding the answer. And what we find is, so that's why we call it unpredictable. Okay. These functions are unpredictable or difficult to predict. That doesn't mean that there's not patterns in it and that you can't pull edges out of it. It just means that you can't know for sure what's going to happen until you've gone through the iteration. And that's what makes it a fractal function. Now, there's this thing with fractal functions, and this was what Mandelbrot was getting into, is that because of this, there are certain situations where the market will just flip out. Basically, there's some change that happens, and who knows why it happens, but there's a certain situation that can get triggered in which the market will just kind of tumble and fall apart. And eventually, when you're just going through the market, through the function, you're going to run into that situation. And so there's a tendency for markets to fall apart, and that's when you have to come in and bail the system out. All right, so that's kind of the fractal theory of markets. Now, you probably don't hear too much about Mandelbrot, and that is because Mandelbrot kind of tells us something that we don't want to admit, and that is that you cannot know for sure what the market is going to do without trading it. If you have a strategy, you can go and you can backtest the strategy, But until you actually play that strategy live and you see how that strategy affects the market because you're changing one of the functions, you can't actually know how effective it is. And that's what happens to a lot of retail traders is we'll trade something in demo. And I mean, I totally think you should trade things in demo to see if there's edge in something. Because if you can't at least pull out an edge in a demo, you're probably not going to pull an edge out of it when you trade it live unless you're like really big, right? So you really have to trade it live and see how it affects the market. And it seems silly that my one lot can affect the market, but our theory of fractals tells us that even one order can have a multiplying effect. It's like the butterfly effect, right? Can a butterfly flapping its wings in the Amazon create tornadoes in Texas? It's possible that can happen. That's the butterfly effect. So that's what we're getting into the fractal theory of markets. So when we're talking about the fractal theory of markets, you can pull edges out of it for sure, but you also have to be aware that the market can literally do anything at any time, and that even small changes in the market can have large, unpredictable consequences. So I don't know if that's what you wanted to get out of it. I think the market doesn't talk about it, Mandelbrot's work a whole lot because it doesn't give you some strategy that you should be trading or something like that. You know what I mean? He said that it has some usefulness into how you should manage your portfolio, but I haven't read his book. I don't know how you come out through that. I seem to I'm starting to get the idea that our model of risk that we use as day traders is woefully inadequate. So
Winston's mom says 34 watching now. Will everyone please take a quick second before the open to hit like, thank you.
yeah, thank you very much. We got 5 likes already, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, yesterday we got like 20, which was great. So I appreciate it, guys.
Quasar says the best example about a one lot is when someone buys to top of the day on one bond, say ZF, usually the other bonds are going to tick up too, not all the time up.
Yeah.
Jacoby OG says my one MES is a pure game changer. The lot to change them all.
Bot says so a gorilla beating its chest in the Amazon can cause earthquakes in Utah.
I don't know. Can a gorilla beating his chest actually affect Earth movements? Is that an input into the function? I don't know. It's kind of so. I guess it's the same question with the butterfly effect. Is a butterfly flapping its wings? Does it actually create enough of an effect that it actually changes the function? I don't think that we really have any way to really know or measure that, but it's possible because the way that they do weather is they create like this 3D grid of the atmosphere, and then they say here's what all of the properties are at that point in the atmosphere. That's why they get weather balloons and all of these things to measure these different points in the atmosphere, right? And then they have models that say, okay, if this spot in the sky changes by temperature by this much, this is how it tends to affect everything around it. And they use machine learning algorithms to kind of figure out, how those things tend to change. But then they also go through and they say, okay, like the further out that they go, the more iterations that you go on it, the more that your model is going to diverge from what actually happened. So then you take the measurements and you readjust again and you redo all of your machine learning algorithms to recalculate it, right? Like that's how the weather does it. Anyways, so it totally is like a small change. Who knows how big of a difference? There's no way for us to truly measure it unless we had the full function, right? If the functions in the market weren't constantly changing, if you guys weren't all constantly changing your strategies, then maybe we could create a mathematical formula that would predict what the market is going to do. And then we could actually quantify what effect one lie has. We could go in and we could say, okay, so here's what the market is doing now that we have stabilized the functions. Let's go back and rerun the simulation with a one lot difference, and how much does that affect things? And then we could really see for sure.
Per Christian Broberg says, is it a good idea to short Norwegian Air Shuttle since they are converting liabilities to shares?
Well, so first of all, I don't know anything about Norway for sure, and I'm not really a stock picker. I do have industries that I'm looking at and some stocks that I'm looking at getting into, but I haven't been sharing that information. It's not my specialty. We're kind of a little bit more macro, and particularly bonds is kind of more my specialty. Bonds and programming. Okay, so there was another little move. 2 minutes ahead of the open. I'm glad that I didn't take that trade, right? I knew, hey, it's the open, it's not time yet.
Gary Rich says, if we all fart at the same time, can we cause tornadoes? No, just stinky air. Sniff, sniff. Ah.
Good. I don't know. The thing is that this is a relatively recent math, right? The nature of fractals and how it applies to weather and markets is something that we've only become aware of in the last 20 years or something like that. And really it's only been in the last 10 years where we've really had the computing power to really test the limits of it. And who knows what kind of models for risk that we might come up with in the future from the algorithmic trading. You know?
Simon Todd says, lol. We should at least give it a shot.
Oh, Roberts. I didn't read these ones out between Robert and Potts because I didn't understand what they were talking about. But they're talking about that there's no gorillas in the Amazon. So he should have said Congo. There you go. There you go.
Bot says Seth got me rolling on that one with his butterfly concept.
Yeah. I'm noticing that we're getting a bunch of outside bars here now going into the open. It appears to me that they are looking to make something happen here on the open. So let's let them do it. We have news at 7:45. So, and then there's news at 8. So we're going to sit on our hands a little bit longer. I really want to take a trade, but I really should hold off. Well,
Bot says, what does an outside bar tell you?
I believe that an outside bar tells us that the large players are starting to take positions and trying to start the price discovery process. Somebody's saying, I think it should go this way, and somebody else is saying, I think it should go this way. And so you get an outside bar. Okay, so their very first impulse was down, was selling on the open. And the open is at 2863, which is below the open of the past hour, by the way. Oh, actually, no, is it equal? It's slightly lower. You can see here in an hour, we're basically where we were. We're basically where we were.
Bot says equals price discovery is starting.
Yeah.
Gary Rich says Jim Simmons from Renaissance has the greatest track record of all time. Read the book on him.
Okay. Jim Simmons. I have a list of so much stuff that I need to look. I need to come up. Here's a question. It's maybe one of the more important questions that I don't spend enough time thinking about. But there are so many places where edge could potentially lie. How do you determine which ones you investigate and split your time and effort into? And I really haven't found anything out there that when I hear about a strategy, you know, gives a greater probability of that strategy being worth something or being able to get a strategy out of it. There's so much stuff. Right now, I really want to try and find a better risk model. Something that would tell me when you're in a trade, all in, all out, when is the best time to get out? That's the big question. That is the thing that I think I'm starting to think that there's not an answer out there. I don't think that you're going to find the answer out there. I think that we have to come up with it. So then it's going to turn into, okay, so what kind of math and stuff like that should we be looking into to try and figure this out? Okay. So the first impulse was down. The volume is a little bit mixed. And now they're taking it long. It's really going long there. Oh yeah. Wow. I don't know if they're gonna make it past this previous high here. And then there's that previous open. Yeah, I missed it. I could probably pick
Roberto
them right
Solar
there.
says and Jim Simmons is algo trader. Lol.
Jim Simmons. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see the spots where they're doing it, but it's probably a little too wild still to take. That was a pretty solid uptrend right there, man. Where does that put us? Okay. Oh, interesting. So where should I expect to see
Arash says good morning. Gary Rich says if you Google search
2877?
trading strategies, risk management, etc. Read the university papers written on these topics, subjects, etc. It's
You
all out
know,
there for many to read and consume.
you know what, Gary? That's actually what I was doing was I was searching Google for risk management strategies, and everything that was popping up came into portfolio theory. So I was having a really hard time finding what I wanted to find. Mm, okay. Okay. That was a sweep of that was a nasty sweep. Mm, okay. Offer pulling out of the way there, I think. Mm, mm, mm. Getting all quiet now. Let's see what they do here. They might be a little constrained. Yeah. I don't necessarily want to see it run like that. You see a lot trading there. Okay, yeah, and they're kind of pushing it aggressively here now. Okay. They make it up there, they're going to go way further. I don't know what's going to happen. They might have to turn down here because it is spending a lot of time here now. Look at that. Look at how much is trading around 2869.
Gary Rich says narrow the search to risk MGNT in trading. MIT, Penn, Harvard, Booth School, etc. all have written tons of these papers.
If you have a
Arash says
specific
hi
one,
Seth, do you know how to get a time remaining counter?
time remaining in like the minute sort of a thing. Sure. In fact, I think they already exist. I think there's one on the Futures IO forum. Could be wrong. We could easily make one. You just have to look at when the next bar is, and then subtract the current time and display.
Arash says yes.
Then display. Yeah, no, that's no big deal. There's another. I know there's definitely one included in NinjaTrader. What's it called? That just tells you how many seconds are in the bar or something. Bot's probably gonna chime in here with the answer. I know he's used it.
Bot says it's called bar timer in NT.
There you go. Okay, so There's still a lot of volume trading here. I got a good position.
Arash says yeah that one, but I don't know where in NT.
Yeah, look at the bar timer, and then
Bot
if
says they also have tick counter and volume counter.
there you go. And if that doesn't tell you what you want, then you can probably modify it really easily to show you exactly what you want. Okay, how long have we been here for? 3 minutes. Yeah, I think we're gonna ditch this. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Took us out. Cool. Good.
Bot says the indicators list is sorted in alphabetical order, so bar timer should be near the top of the list.
Arash says got it thanks.
Okay, so now we gotta wait for the news. Yeah, I really thought there was gonna be. I really should have taken it at 2863 way back. But there was way too much absorption up there at 2869. So we realized that it was happening and took our loss. I'm okay with it. Can maybe wait again for the news at 7:45 market composite PMI and the services PMI, and then we get the ISM non-manufacturing stuff. And that's all going to be really important numbers. There's still, you look like even there, they're trading a lot into the, like there's a lot of people buying into it, but the offers are holding it for now. Yeah. Okay, well, kind of trying to look back, trying to judge here where they decide to go, where they're gonna. Oh, are we gonna get this? Well, I'm tempted to just buy right there at 2868. I think they're gonna make another run up before the news, and I might have to sit it out. Hmm, 503 right there. Also noticing that the treasuries are selling in this area. It's really small and subtle, but they are selling in this area.
Bot says tough taking trades when price is in between both the initial pivots.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the place that I took it was an okay trade, but it didn't even, it gave us 7 favorable ticks. It could have gone through. It's definitely somebody stepped in, so it's okay. Okay, that's weird. Watch him go up and do it now. It's always right there. I'm like, yeah, yep, they're going to do it. And then I'll get into it, and they got negative. Okay, we got about 3 minutes.
RJ Wheels says overnight high trap causes uncertainty.
Well, the thing is that the action before that was somewhat negative. So for them to jump up as high as they have is a little interesting. But we got news coming here in the PMI, so we'll see. We'll see. That one I want to take.
Gary Rich says ooh, the latest tactics by Tesla are awesome. Shareholders gonna get bent over. I enjoy me some seeking alpha writers.
So I'm told that because of the move from what was it Friday that Tesla
Bot
is
says they stopped at the
actually
May 1st open 2,871.50.
they oh, is it really? Right. Glad you pointed that out. I have it on my chart, but I didn't notice. Anyways, because they hit the 10%, there's short seller restrictions, and so they recovered yesterday and probably today too. I think though they need to be at like what 600. I don't know where they are at right now. Okay, 1 minute.
Bot says if they break through that level, we'll have full-time frame continuity on daily, weekly, and monthly.
Yeah. Let's just put a. Thing is we've had it. We've dealt in that area before, haven't we? The treasuries are going bid now. What? Suspicious. Okay, here comes the news. Okay, not like a huge reaction to it. Let's see if we get the number here. Okay, market composite PMI final 27 versus 27.4, expected slightly under expectations, and market services PMI 26.7 versus 27.0, so also slightly less than expected. But pretty in line. The market seems to think that it's no big deal. So if I can't be as lucky, I guess not. That's not how you want to get filled. Yeah. Oh, he's pushing it. Okay. There's definitely something happening in the bonds. Even though it looks really quiet over there, I can see people putting stuff out.
Winston's mom says Gary Rich, do you remember the other day you told us about a songstress, Nina? Maybe was her name. I found her live streaming after I listened to your song. Wow, she's lovely. Probably INFJ or NFP.
Bot says 2871.50 is the initial pivot high on a 1-minute chart.
Gary Rich says that data print was worth zero, a big giant sippy doodah of nothing.
Yeah,
Bigger
it
things are
was.
driving these markets.
I think you're right. They really didn't react to it, did they? There are numbers at the top of the hour that are more significant, and we can see what they do with that. Just kind of looks like they want to buy the things. There is some resistance up here still, though. That monthly, though, has got to be way tempting, though, right? Like I think they're gonna hit it.
Bot says resistance, as in supply.
Yeah. I don't really like the term support and resistance because it doesn't really match up with the auction theory of the markets,
Gary Rich says at Mom I'm into Nina Simone. She has such a voice of pain and suffering.
Pain and suffering, what? Come on. You can see there's definitely the profit taking there and everything. Okay, cool. Good.
Bot says nice thrust with FTFC.
I think they're going to go up a little bit more, like 77, 78. Then there's another significant resistance point. We'll kind of see what they do with it.
RJ Wheel says breaking free of oh high.
Yeah. You notice though the way that they broke it, like it wasn't like a real stop run, you know what I mean? The buyers just kind of forced their way
Winston's
through.
mom says Nina Simone has a stunning voice. Somehow I found a young woman with a similar name. Maybe synchronicity. I will link her name later for you. If you like Nina Simone, I think you will like this artist.
Pain and suffering in their voices, I wonder. I have to go and listen to that now and figure out what he's talking about. Now, you guys mentioned so many things to look up, and I never remember it all. Okay, I'm getting what's going on over here. How come my lines aren't? Oh, because that's the different one. Okay. I can see that when we look at the tick, that you're not getting all of the, above 400 on the tick. They're kind of coming up to 400 and then kind of slowing down and punching back up into it, but never quite getting to 600. Mm-mm. Bill Gross, there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. Scott Galloway quoting Lennon about the way the world feels now under COVID. Interesting. Interesting thought.
Bot says that would sound somewhat like you do on a bad trading day, pain and suffering in the voice.
Yeah. Oh, John. Man, I just when
Winston's mom
I'm
says
doing
the High
bad.
Priestess of Soul. Nina Simone did everything from sing the blues to march for civil rights. She died in 2003. I think I Put a Spell on You is flat out sex on a stick music. Quasar says at Winston's mom please share, I'm interested too, slightly smiling face.
Oh, you guys stop. No, if they get up to 78, I think I'm just gonna take it because I want to get out before the 8 o'clock news. So I don't know if they're going to give it to me or not. If you could be so kind, Mr. Market Maker, make me look good in front of my friends, please. I'm just this 77, 78 area is kind of where like some pivots and like
Winston's mom says give me a second to go into my history and return with the young woman's name.
weekend gap and high, and there's all sorts of funky stuff up there. So what might happen is they'll fill me, and they could be a breakout up there. But if I get it, it would the time of day
Bot says, did you
would.
put that updated SS signal on your system this morning?
Oh, I haven't downloaded it yet. Did it show us something good? Did it show us to get in around 28, 68, 50 or whatever? So when I took that trade, the way that I was thinking of it was we had just had an outside bar, but I'm looking at the order flow, and the order flow is suggesting that we're going to move up. So if we punch the top of that outside
Bot
bar,
says it's working well so far.
cool. So I said if we reach the top of that upside bar, I was taking it on the expectation of that breaching and then the high breaching, and it worked pretty well. Okay, so we're getting some absorption up in here again. I'm gonna play it safe.
Winston's mom says Zenny N, leave it all behind, music video, and after I listened to her, I found her or I thought it was her, but then again, I thought Nina Simone sounded like Zenny N. She live streamed over the weekend.
Oh man, it is so interesting. One of the things that's most interesting to me to watch during the quarantine has been
Gary
how
Rich says when
entertainment
my time in the
artists react.
MKTS is finished I relax with music. Keeps me humble to the voracious viciousness and velocity which it may impose on.
So, if I could indulge myself for a second, we'll see if they go. If they get up to, remember that we had our order at 78. So let's see if we could have waited. But I just saw enough absorption there, and made me nervous. So the music industry has been going through some turmoil, because of streaming. And there's kind of this interesting thing going on where recording artists, you can make a lot of money on Spotify. Like one of the things that I saw is there's this guy I follow, his name Harris Heller, and he has the Alpha Gaming channel on YouTube, and he went and he made a list of music that you can play while you're streaming that won't get your video taken down. And the way that he makes money on it is he puts it up on Spotify. And when you play things on Spotify, you get paid money for every play. And since he owns all of that, he makes some money off of it. Okay. But if you're a recording artist, you have a deal with the record company and they get most of the money from that streaming. So we've had these situations going on for years and years. And as I'm sure you're familiar with, that these artists, a song gets really popular and the recording company makes the money and the artist doesn't really make a whole lot of money. And the way that artists have been making money is they get all of the money from touring. So touring became a really big thing in the festivals, and even Taylor Swift, who I don't think would normally be all about live performances, was doing live concerts. Look, it's gonna go. I should have held it. Well, you can't have concerts anymore, and we probably won't have concerts for a long time. Like it's going to be well over, I don't think, until next summer, maybe, and maybe even after that, because people are still going to be hesitant to go to large scale events. So these guys are completely screwed, and it's the worst one. It's worst for DJs. Oh my gosh, DJs. And all of the people associated with the DJs, like the touring managers that weren't like just making money hand over fist from it, are like getting hit really hard and probably going to have to find new jobs, right? And so the way that they've been handling it is they've been doing streams, and they put it up as like that it's charity, but the reality is that they're trying to build their streaming audience so that they can make money from live streaming. Isn't that interesting? I'm doing it, seeing it with journalists too, or I'm like, I watch journalists and they're recording from home, and I'm like, I have a better setup than that journalist. Like, what is this? These are multi-million-dollar companies. They can't afford a good camera. What the heck? They just give them a webcam? Really? Okay, whatever. But anyways, it's super interesting to me.
Gary Rich says, when my time in the MKTS is finished, I relax with music. Keeps me humble to the voracious viciousness and velocity which it may impose on. Quasars says thank you at Winston's mom. RJ Wheel says same with sports. Winston's mom says you are welcome, Quasars. RJ Wheel says NHL especially. Derive bulk of revenue from Gate not TV.
So this is where I say, I feel like that our models for risk from a day trading perspective is woefully inadequate. I took it off there. We were coming down a little bit. It looks like they're going to go to my target. They're one tick away from it so far. Okay. So did I do the right thing? I mean, in this particular instance, we know that it didn't happen. But if I were to have taken that spot in 100 times, which would have been better? And I don't know. I don't think that we have the tools to calculate it. Or they went to it. I guess it was a big enough magnet. I should have guessed that they were going to play around with it a little bit and that there would be some resistance along the way.
Gary Rich says suggested drill. Listen to MRI sounds and trade in sim. It will force one to concentrate and focus. Don't worry about the results. It's forcing one to focus. Winston's mom says NHL National Hockey League. How is Marty St. Louis doing these days? He was in Tampa Bay when I was, and he's fabulous to watch play. Such a character.
Okay, so hold on a second, guys. We got the news coming here in 30 seconds. And this is where I'm saying, like, I don't know if they would have let me out before the news. I'm still not 100%. I think you would have gotten filled there, but I'm not 100% sure. I might be. If not, I guess I could just be hitting into the bid there, but still. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay, so they're buying at the moment. Here are the numbers. ISM non-manufacturing new orders 32.9. There's no estimate on that number. Previous reading of 52.9. Non-manufacturing employment 30 versus a previous reading of 47. ISM non-manufacturing business activity 26 versus a previous reading of 48. ISM non-manufacturing PMI 41.8. That 41.8 is not that bad, actually. It's bad, but it's not that bad. Versus a previous reading of 52.5, and non-manufacturing prices 55.1 versus a previous reading of 50. So prices actually increasing a little bit. Okay, so they certainly liked that. There led to a little bit of a run there. I think you'd have a really hard time selling it at this point. I'm a little surprised at the way that those highs have been coming through, just because you often get to a point where a bunch of guys are just off sides and they just get slaughtered, and we're not seeing that. there's just a lot of liquidity. I don't know if it's profit taking or what, but there's just like a lot of liquidity on the offer, and they're able to just eventually plow their way through it. And that's what I keep seeing. Well, we're coming back to, I think I could maybe buy one here if I really wanted. Nah, I'm having a hard time picking a price though.
Bot says using a 2-to-1 risk reward off those signals this morning.
Yeah, okay. Well, 2 to 1 is one way to do it. I just think that we could come up with something so much more complicated. I don't know what it would be, but okay, seeing how I'm like, okay, there's a lot traded there at 79. Yeah, could have taken 78. Okay. Offers are kind of just getting out of the way. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, see, they just kind of have to plow through it. Mm, not too happy about where I got in at. I can tell you that much. They are kind of trending. I don't know. I would think that this would be a spot where they should be able to pick up a lot of steam, but it's kind of starting to look like they're losing steam. Hmm. And it's taking a lot to move it. Yeah. There's actually a lot of selling here. That's interesting. Oh, I should have. Where did I get out at? I should have gotten out a little bit higher. Oh, that's okay. I don't see the treasuries ticking up, so man. Okay. Outside bar. Okay. Buyer's making better progress this time. There are so many contracts short. If they go and they punch that high again, and I don't see stops, like seriously. It's looking good so far. Hmm. The cumulative delta divergence that I'm seeing in the E-menu right now is a little concerning. Dang. They might turn down. That was pretty heavy. Yeah. We gotta take it right there. Pretty heavy, isn't she?
Bot says stops based on the mother bar's range.
Yeah.
Trare Care says who's your broker?
I am using AMP. AMP AMP. Did I get out it? I think I did. Yep. That was a little bit further down. This one kind of makes me a little uneasy because it's very much against the trend, you know? For this one to work, we'd have to come down like 10 points. You know what? We should look at what our targets are. Uh, uh, huh. Well, the downside target is 28.30, which seems really likely. And what's this one? 28.94? Hmm. I don't know about that. I think the options pricing has been done more so with
Winston's mom says, Gary
downside trade.
Rich, have you listened to Billy Paul sing Me and Mrs. Jones?
They
That
did
song
open
has a new version from
below
Michael
34
Bublé,
though.
who does it well but not as well as Billy Paul did way back when.
Hmm. Okay. So the action to the downside is very different. I'm not seeing huge absorption on the bid. They kind of push it up a little bit and then they'll quickly fall back if they're done. Which they might just do here. I don't know. A little bit of a squeeze there. Okay, now there's some absorption on the bid. I'm having a hard time cutting them off in the right spot. Like I could have taken a profit on that short. Yeah. 8 and 8. That's actually a random. Still not seeing any strong signals in level 2 today. Maybe up here, I guess, but I'm getting the sense that we're in a chop area again instead of just running through like I thought we would. Well, when the buyers make progress, it's definitely easier. Okay. Ugh. It looks like they're so close and then they don't do it. I don't know, guys. It's looking like today is just not my day. Well, they might shy away from that there. I tell you what, when the selling comes in, there sure are a lot of market sellers. The treasuries are actually a really good clip higher, but they had kind of fallen out. I think that they want to make that back to 139 would make sense. Well, we'll try one more, all right? That right there looks bullish. Okay, what was that?
K9 says, what are your thoughts on market profile?
That is definitely useful stuff. I kind of feel like that these days market profile just kind of maybe puts you at par. I think unfortunately
Gary Rich
any
says, A trading is like love. 1 minute it's great, next it sucks. Can't win 'em all.
I think it sure got quiet there too, didn't it? Yeah. I feel like that pretty much any strategy that you're gonna find out there that's like available and popular and followed by a lot of traders is probably only gonna put you on par. I mean, Dom trading is maybe kind of on the edge of that because it's never really truly been popular among retail. But the issue with the Dom is that the signals that you really want to take are extremely, probably too small for you to catch anymore. Okay, well, it is definitely being rangy in here. I think that I just got chopped up a little bit there, and it wasn't really so much. Mm,
Twemdog says why use market profile when you have a DOM haha? DOM is much more useful.
wow, I mean, I still take my 30-minute charts and look at them at the beginning of the day because you want to know it doesn't the without the DOM it's really hard with only the DOM to see the larger picture. The DOM can make you tunnel visioned. 27 even in the 10 years. It was holding a fairly strong bid, but now it's not. I don't think that I'm getting my click sounds. Let's see here. They're coming down. I don't know. 72. Well, okay. So they touched 72.50. Hmm.
Winston's mom says several studies found a connection between full and new moons and stock market performance.
Yeah.
The next full moon on Thursday morning, May 7, 2020, appearing opposite the sun at 6:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time.
We did need to read those studies. There might be, correlation does not prove causation sort of a thing. Sounds like a dubious correlation.
Winston's mom says generally, stocks tend to perform better in the days around the new moon, while price weakness is more frequently seen in the days around full moon.
Mm. No.
Winston's mom says the May 7th full moon is known as the flower moon, corn planting moon, milk moon, the Vesic festival moon and a supermoon.
I don't know. I'm feeling like uh, I'm identifying this place as a place where there's a higher probability of seeing a bounce. So far, not happening. I kind of can see the sellers are still trying to push it down. Look at that.
Winston's mom says a lunar green period is when stocks tend to do better than average, and a lunar red period is when stocks generally underperform.
Sounds like a dubious correlation to me. It might just be because, like, so it's something that could cause a correlation
Winston's
like
mom
that.
says green periods start about 3 days after full moon, and red periods begin about 3 days after new moon.
Something that could have to do with that is you're more likely to see new moon and full moon at certain times of month, and you might tend to see um, the the news at those times of month too. And so you could get those cycles, but the lunar cycle really has nothing to do with it. And when you do the stats, you might find something that looks statistically significant, but isn't actually strong enough for you to get profitable trades out of it. You gotta be careful. I'd say to really have a good strategy, you have to have
Gary
more
Rich
than
says to
just the
say I love trading
small.
or financial markets reminds me of Joan Jett's song I Hate Myself for Loving You. I say enjoy, like, and have a passion for, but not love.
Yeah, I enjoy trading, but it sure is. I sure feel cynical sometimes, especially when I see new people come in and there's this type. I don't know what it is, what attracts them to it, but there's the type, right? Like they're so confident of themselves and they really have no clue what they're getting into. See that so often. Feel bad.
Junior says how much real money did those researchers make from that lunar research?
Yeah, so that's the question is like one of the problems with academic research is they'll do a study on the markets, but then they never actually trade with it.
305,790 says can we get an indicator for the moon cycles lol.
Right. Okay, well, we got a doji there on the 1 minute chart.
Junior says they should be billionaires by now.
Just looking back on the action, that whole area was messy. So it didn't just turn down, like it turned
JB
down and
says for
then
any study follow the money in
made
the
it look
original
like it was gonna
hypothesis.
be. Oh, there you go.
Winston's mom says, hey, man, bet you can treat me right you just don't know what you was missing last night I want to see your face and say forget it just from spite I hate myself for loving you.
Okay,
Joan
that
Jett is a
was a
bad girl.
stop. That was a stop. And you see him reloading at 2874. That's good. I read that as very bullish. Outside bar here, though, they might try and test them.
Roby Mani says move to futures from Forex, now trading S.
There you go. Trade
JB
ES or
says is for the moon
micro ES.
cycle, it does impact sleep and other biological patterns, which may drive markets to some extent.
Yeah, that might be possible.
Winston's mom says Junior they probably made more money from their website and books and not from trading. I hear you.
Yeah, right. Okay, so this is going to be an inside bar, but they are testing him. Okay, so get
Winston's mom says in all fairness to the moon cycle, cops publish this on their blotter knowing the crazies will turn out in full force and nurses know more babies are born that night, or so says my friends who are.
I'm a little mad at myself right now just because I know what happened. And I don't know why I always forget. But I really shouldn't have been taking trades during that time period. Those last two. that swoon. We're probably going to continue back up. Oh man, I've been drinking a lot of water today. I'm going to need to go refill my water here.
Junior says those crazies are probably traders that went broke.
There's plenty of traders that went broke out. Like the thing you just got to, I think it's so funny to watch communities like Reddit and Facebook and so forth. You just got to remember that like 95% of traders fail. So you see people talking and you look at the attitudes that are common and so forth. And you it kind of starts to make sense why a lot of people fail. Part of it, I think, is the mentality of the person that gets attracted to trading. Because you notice I saw a thread on Reddit yesterday where there was a guy and he was saying that he had been trading for 10 years and he considered himself a failed trader. And it was almost like he was begging for help. You know what I mean? And he was saying, like, I'm an engineer and I understand the markets and I've tried all of these different things and they just don't work. And I feel more for that person because they're going to actually go through the process and everything. But then you get all these other people and they just think, yes, all I have to do is just find the right indicator that has been fed to me and then I will be a profitable trader. And that's why I like to go back to the fractal nature of markets. That's why I've been on that so much lately, because the fractal nature of markets says to us that it will never be that simple, that the function will change and how you have to react to the market has to change too. So you have to understand the markets to look at the contour of the situation and come up with a new trade for that situation. And somehow be able to know enough about the markets
RJ
to still
Wheel
have a
says doctors
statistical
make
edge
worse
as you're doing
traders.
it.
No room for God complex in trading.
Oh, there you go. It's so weird to me. But a lot of the people that get into trading are not. I think they get into it because they think that it's an easy way to make money. It's really, really is not. It's the most competitive thing out there. It's the hardest thing out there. And especially with what we're doing, even if you're really good, the rewards are perhaps, and until you start managing your own hedge fund, right? Like notice Gary Norton, he's going to manage a hedge fund. That's where the real money is. It's managing other people's money.
RJ Wheel says it's the hardest way to make easy money.
Yeah. The hardest way to make easy money.
Bot says dentists used to be favored prey for bucket shops.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Well, yeah, because you'll get these people that think that they're smart. Like, there's this idea out there that if I'm a really intelligent person, that I will beat the market, and it doesn't work that way. I think that for a lot of people that end up being successful traders, some of it really is luck. Some of it is they just happen, like, how do you pick what your strategy is going to be? You just happen to come across and see, and that thing just happened to impress upon you, you know, or you just happen to pick the right trade that gave you enough capital to continue going and get through the tough times. It's those things like that. I really don't think it has anything to do with how smart you are. I think I'm a really smart. I think I'm a pretty smart person. I think I'm maybe slightly above average, just slightly. Maybe like if 100 is average, then I'm maybe like 105, and probably in a lot of measures that most people do well in, I'm going to do really poorly in, right? So it's not quite so simple, and it's not like I just only make profitable trades. It's difficult.
RJ Wheel says that's the thing. They are super successful because they pick a strategy perfect for their personality.
That's probably a part. Yeah.
Bot says thinking face.
I think there's definitely something
RJ Wheels
to
says perhaps
trading
by
in a way
chance.
that's in line with the way you think. But I don't know. I think the issue is that we don't know how to deal with the market changing on us, especially if we're successful enough that the market comes after you, you know?
305,790 says sometimes we get paralysis by analysis.
Yeah. I've been trying to work on lately refining my entries, and I feel a lot more confident when I take a trade, even though a lot of them really are bad entries. But I don't
Bot
know.
says long 74 half equals target 79 half.
You say 79. You're fighting him again here. Even though the uptown trend has been pretty good so far.
Bot says stop 72 even.
So you're doing a 3-2. Which maybe we could do that. But maybe on some of these I'm just looking for too much. Like some of these I did get 8 ticks out of. This one at one point I've gotten 12. So they're going to touch the bottom of this outside bar here.
Bot says not looking so good at the moment.
No. Well, 71. I don't know if the action that we're seeing at the moment is really significant or not.
Gary Rich says take whatever the market gives you, be happy with just a tiny, small amount. Live to trade another day.
Yeah. The question is, though, is how do you know how much the market is willing to give you? How do you know that he's done?
Bot says out at B.
Yeah. Well,
Air Cages says you just know.
you just know. I'm sure there's an answer, but I'm not so sure that I'm smart enough to figure it out, and you might need a quantum computer to calculate it.
Bot says now it can go.
Yeah, right? Well,
John
they
2
are
John
wiggling around
25
a
says
lot
Air
now.
Cages lol. Gary Rich says we don't know, that's the challenge and $64 trillion question.
John 25. Like if we didn't already have enough Johns in here, now we have somebody
Calvin
with
Malambo
2
says what's
Johns in
your
their name.
TGT on SBots?
2 Johns in one person.
Dan H says Ryan Jones fixed ratio money management is interesting.
Let me give you the target again. It is 28.94. 28.94.
305,790 says know when to hold M and when to fold M.
Yeah.
Lol.
Bot says 79.5.
Oh, that's what he was just looking for on that one trade. But that was just based off of where he got
Air
in
Cages
his
says
risk
I'm
reward,
changing
right?
my name to Air Johns.
That's where I'm saying, like, okay, so like, say we just took it right here, 76, and we were looking for to take 1 point of risk and 2 points of profit. Okay, look
Gary
right
Rich
there, you're
says so
already
many
stopped out.
Johns, where are the dicks or sorry Richards?
I know, right? You're already stopped out. Now, why was that a bad idea? Well, we know what the average range is right now, and the ability for it to move a tick is pretty easy. So to take your stop after a point probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? So to just pick an arbitrary target and stop, it's one way to do it if it's large enough. But I don't think that it's the most efficient. I think that we have to sit down and say, okay, what is a reason that it can come up here? And what is a reason that it's going to come down here? And where are my, there's got to be more complicated ways of calculating out your probabilities to be able to set the stops and the targets.
Bot says Dix as in Gary Dick.
Yeah, there you go.
Bot says sorry Rich. Bot says lol.
Gary Rich says it bots thank you.
I don't know. It's always been a thing that there are a lot of traders named John. I said I should name my child John, but my wife said that the name has to have multiple syllables, so we didn't go for that one. Look at that. Isn't it interesting also the way the E-mini moves? How it's just like all of a sudden it just goes out of nowhere, really. Probably some sector is like breaking out or something. I am seeing
Bot
the
says
tick
here's that move
moving
I
up
was
here.
looking for.
Yeah, the tick is moving up here.
Gary Rich says ask a cop what a John is. Lol.
But see, John, really what we're
John
doing
2
is
John 25 says are the traders named John winning traders? I'll take any advantage I can get.
we're really just finding an advantageous direction, you know? So if it's not moving yet, then what are the chances that it breaks the area that we got in and takes more than the risks that we're willing to take, you know? Oh, did you
Bot
your
says
stop?
should have just left the original stop alone.
Yeah, it could be. But in that case, if it works with the original stop, it just means you're taking on more risk to get the trade, right? Oh, that last move up was really strong. But look at how quickly they come back down. He's in slice and dice mode. I can't believe after all of that up there, they're going to come in and sell it. I don't know. It looks like I'm done for. Hmm. They're expanding the ranges here too. Hmm. Seriously? The trend went way negative there, though. How did they? Sorry, the tick went way. The tick touched 600. How did they do that? What is going on? I think I am out of my depth here, guys.
Bot says lol, the break-even exit looks good now.
Gary Rich says yes, Trump is calling out how bad the models are on corona. Finally.
Trump promises will report on virus origin soon. So they say that they're going to tell us why they believe it came from China.
Gary Rich says that jerkwad from Imperial College has been wrong on all of his models on anything
Wow.
he has spewed. He needs to wear the scarlet letter of shame.
The thing is with a model like that, you're not going to get it exactly on. I think that the real travesty here is that the media plays this stupid game with models. They're saying something about models that simply isn't true. Models are not 100% accurate, especially not virus models. And the key thing that they should be trying to tell the public when they're giving these numbers out is how was the model generated? How accurate did they tend to be? What are the limitations of them? And they wanted to hold it out as some holy grail where if you disagreed with the model, then you were going to be wrong and you should be expelled from society or something. And that is just not the way that data modeling works. And any responsible data scientist would tell you so. And yet they didn't do that. It's like, oh, well, they're getting money and attention, so they're going to pretend like they know what's going on. Like they know 100% for sure what's going to happen. And then the numbers come out and it's not exactly on. I mean, what? The first time that Fauci said that he gave us a number, he said if we don't do anything, 2 million people, and if we do it, then we're maybe 100 to 200,000. And we thought, oh, even 100 to 200,000 would be a lot. And yet, that looks like that's where we're going. So I don't feel like that his numbers were really so bad. I think that what happened was that the media misconstrued what a data model is actually capable of telling us. Whatever. It's just like I can come in and I can tell you, hey, on the E-mini, we break the overnight high or overnight low, one of those two, 90% of the time. 90% of the time. But what's going to happen is the one time that we don't do that. The one time out of 10 that we don't do that, somebody's going to come in. Oh, you were wrong. Okay. I guess the model doesn't work, guys. I'll be right back and get some water. So you went that down. Now they're coming back up again. Oh, jeez. You go, Seth. Amen. I'm no fan of the breasts. Oh, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't have the reader on.
Gary Rich says that man from Imperial College caused trillions of dollars and lost everything. JB says you go, Seth. Amen. I am no fan of the press. JB says also makes me think of the book 1984. Interesting, read in high school. Downright terrifying with the added context of today's world, what I have seen over the years since then.
I really don't think I've had one where I got filled and there wasn't. It only had 0. I haven't had one where the MFE was 0 on any of them. I don't know what's with that today, but usually I get at least 1, you know. So am I picking my prices wrong? I don't know. But we're on, this one is just for fun. Kind of just to see, hey, okay, so if we were able to hold that, and we do get the move up that we were expecting to see, then how does it turn out?
Winston's mom says, doublethink means the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously, and accepting both of them. George Orwell, 1984. JB says, is that a bird I hear in the background?
Yeah, they heard me coming out and thought that I was going to let them out, but it was not. It's not time. What's that?
JB says, what kind?
A sun conure. They're so loud, man. Don't get a sun conure. They're too loud. Poor things. Should never become a domesticated bird.
Winston's mom says, JB, speculator Seth has sun conures.
They're fun birds. I think they're more fun than the green cheeks, but they're just too loud, and people can't handle how loud they are. Second coronavirus wave expected with great certainty, says RKI. UK Prime Minister, we must be sure the measures we take do not risk a second
JB
spike
says,
that would
nice.
overwhelm the
I
NHS.
used to have a cockatoo.
Cockatoos are adorable. You get a cockatoo that likes you. Okay. So slightly higher high.
Winston's mom says, I have asked him to bring them downstairs and let them watch us, but he says they are too noisy. I think they're fun, and he has some videos that feature them.
So it would be so distracting. I guess we could do one where we just have them.
JB says, thanks, Winston's mom.
Man.
Gary Rich says it's 1984 Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies, Minority Report, War of the Worlds packaged up in a nice little surprise for all, new normal.
I tell you what, Minority Report, the thing that's so scary to me about Minority Report is that some of the technology that they show in Minority Report, we already have things that far surpass.
Winston's mom says, I used to have a cockatoo, is what everyone says when I mention ferrets. Then I have to say, no, not parrots.
Like
ferrets, no, they are not rodents, lol.
The two things in Minority Report that were scary, one was the robots, the little spider robots. Okay, well, we have robots that are the same size that fly. Okay. not as intelligent as those ones, but they freaking fly. Okay, so I would say that we already have a technology that could be used for totalitarian purposes that's scarier. The other scary technology that was in there was the eye scanning. Why would you need to bother eye scanning everybody? You can just find out their location with their cell phone, right? So the third one that we haven't quite hit yet, though, but one, automated cars. The whole thing about you can't get anywhere because of the automated cars, that one really scares me, man. Anyways, I tell you what, the people that wrote that movie really knew their stuff, and were um consulting with somebody that really knew where the future was going. I tell you what, just like 1984, that George Orwell, he had so many contacts with the government, he knew where the technology was going and how it could be used. It's amazing. Well, I tell you what, something that I really hate, that really drives me nuts, is when the market, it's like, okay, we're moving up. Okay, that was a pretty good move up, by the way. Um, and it's like tick, 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 do, and all of that progress is lost in a second. That drives me crazy. Okay, cool. Well, we may still yet have the opportunity to hold it to our target. I don't know. London traders aren't gone yet. They're pushing it hard. And, well, I can't really see cumulative delta for the day here, but I think that the highest we ever got was 15, right? Yeah. Oh, there it was, 13. Yeah. So if we do touch that high of the day, could be some stops. I just like to see stops. I guess at the end of the day, what I really like is just to see stops. But whatever. Trump says he will wear a mask at the Honeywell plant he is visiting in Arizona if it is a masked environment. Okay.
Bot says if I remember correctly, Beretta had a cockatoo named Fred.
Ooh, what? Huh?
Gary Rich says no, the prediction algo of crime was a scary one outcome. Just wait, we will get there. China has this already.
Oh yeah,
Lol.
that too. I forgot about
Winston's
the
mom
main
says I
premise.
grew up watching the Jetsons and I am still waiting for my jetpack. Judy Jetson got hers on her 16th birthday. I have had a lot of birthdays and still no jetpack.
The whole social credit score thing is kind of scary. Like, the thing that's really truly scary about it is that they're already doing it, and they can start to apply that measure to us. So if you go and you have an argument with the 50 Cent Army, that could affect your social credit score, and could affect you negatively if the Chinese ever decide to take over the world. Like, I tell you what, man, some of this stuff is just really crazy things that people come up with. Really quite disturbing stuff. Wow. One of the problems that I have with the yes is that I want to hold it, but it seems like that you'll have like an entry, you'll get some favorable excursion, it will come back to where you went and maybe even a little bit further. You get out, and then it will extend higher. And then even if you wait till it extends higher, it's going to come back and it's going to give away a lot of your profits, and as much as that it will take away the ones where you won. And so to really truly get a runner, you have to hold through like 3 or 4 waves, and I'm not sure that that's something that I can or have the stomach to do. I can, meaning like I can sit and babysit it long enough. I find that frustrating. They're trading a decent amount of volume at 28.77, so I think that will hold this area. And we could see another move up and maybe attack that high. I don't know if they're going to do it before we have to stop streaming, though. Trump won't allow Fauci to testify before the House because it's a bunch of Trump haters. Of course not. You wouldn't let anybody testify in front of Congress that you don't have to. That's just no duh. Only if that person would reveal something very beneficial to you that you can't get out any other way. Oh, you know what? You guys are probably saying stuff and it's not reading it out. That's where I fell in love with them. Fred was off on Beretta. Yes, I love that show, but it was Toma who crushed on Robert Blake. Had quite a story. I think is still somewhere out there. I should YouTube him. Before your time, Seth, 1973 to 1974. Okay. We sort of had that social scorecard. It's called the Twitter mob. That whole thing is. I tell you what, so did you see Candace Owen got banned from Twitter now? I don't think that there is a single well-known. Honestly, the most well-known conservative political commentator on Twitter left is Cat Turd. Like, really? They're killing everybody out there. They banned Candace, and what they banned her for was like the most innocuous thing too. It's really quite ridiculous what they're banning people for. Anyways, these candles are starting to look really bullish. Got above the green. We're going to come into this last pivot at 28.80.50. That looks so close. And then that high. Persh, I've been watching your stream for a few days now. Thanks for doing this. Quick question. Are you trading on a live count? Today, I am not. I am still kind of testing this strategy and working things out about it. I think we're still missing some critical components. That's why we keep talking about it. That it's like so. John was trying the, set targets, and we had some issues with it. I've been trying. I'm trying to read the level 2, but today they're not really giving me a lot of clues for some reason. So that one's not helping. I think that we have pretty okay entries now. There's still some places where I don't feel like I get the price that I should. And sometimes you just have to be fast. But some of these trades we've gotten pretty favorable MFE versus MAE, right? So some of these win a couple of ticks and they only win 8 against us. So like this one, we've gotten 15 so far and it went 6 against us. That's pretty good. We had one that was 11 and 21. I guess there is some work to be done there because I would much rather see that down to like 4. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. There's just a lot more testing to be done. But that's kind of where we're going at. If the treasuries were favorable, you know what? I probably could have traded the treasuries today because I came in and I said, well, we're at support. So I think you buy it. But I don't, I wasn't really watching it. I wish I had watched it like I watched yesterday because they took off. But I don't think it means anything to the stock market. They took off just because they were below support. Anyways, so yeah, I'm not really. I'm on occasion I will take a live trade, and I haven't really been telling you guys when I do it. Like if there's something I feel really confident about, and I'm seeing an opportunity where the market is going to have to really reprice things, and there's plenty of time for me to get in on it. Those are the ones I've been taking on the live account. But today, mostly sim trades. This one definitely is because we did have 2 big losers, so we're done. So today, net we lost 87. but we keep trading. This is not one that I would normally take. If this one turns out, maybe we come out positive. We'll see. Parish says thanks. No problem. Yeah. Another thing you got to consider is that this is just a really volatile market, and I only like to risk like 10 ticks, and right now we can't. I'm having to hold this 16 tick stop, which, you know, is more than I want to take. So uh, that just says to me that right now it's probably better for me to just trade sim and kind of work the strategy out and get more confident about where I want to play it. If we bust up into that 2880, I think that new high is almost certain. Watch them go up and do it and then bust back down just to make me be wrong. Yeah, right now they're saying that they're not even going to let him go up there. So who knows? That's pretty aggressive. See, it's like slow move up, and then all of a sudden it's gone just like that. Very annoying. If we could just only ever trend higher, that would be great. That was a lot of selling on that one. Hmm. Oh my gosh, if we get above 2078.50 here, yeah, if we're able to hold that, close above that, that's going to be like, well, that's going to really screw up the chart. Because a bunch of guys just went short there and are underwater. Come on, push him. Squeeze them. Squeeze. 25. They're fighting over it. Okay. Okay. So still not quite there. They're playing that game with us again. This really is starting to become my favorite new game. Will they make a pivot low? Well, we would have to close above 28.79 to create a pivot low. It doesn't look like they're doing that at the moment. Look, he's turning back down. 3 seconds.
JB says yep, that is where I first fell in love with them. Paresh Mungara says thanks.
Oh, we need to.
JB says
It was reading old messages. A 16 tick stop suggests you need to improve your entry criteria somewhat. No. Maybe. I mean, the thing is that the market is moving so much right now. I'm not sure that you can really catch trades with, a tighter stop right now. Is 28.81 pivot high? Well, the last pivot high was 28.80. And there's a pivot low at 28.76.25, but it looks like they're creaming that right now, so. So that'll make a new one at new potential pivot low at 28.75. I really wonder if we can make a trade based off of this. Look at that. Well, there's some buying here. I don't know. What do we got? 10 more minutes? I wonder if some of that was just profit taking. Hmm. Okay. Trouble at 77. Okay, they get through it. Okay. Okay. See, here we're playing it again. It's so close. 10 seconds. Hey, there we go. He's like, I'm making it happen. This time I'm making it happen. He ensured it there with that sweep. So they got a pivot low. Just telling you, the market seems to care, don't they? I don't know if there's a trade in that, but the market seems to care about it. So much so that I see people come in and hit trades with market orders to push it up just to make a pivot high or low happen. Why are you not using trading technologies? Oh, hey, hold on. Did I finally get what I was looking for? I did. And it says to buy it. Cool. So one, they don't have all of the features that I want. Their DOM isn't customizable. It doesn't have the current trades column, of which I rely upon a lot. And it's a more expensive monthly fee. So I really like Jigsaw, and I think that they get the job done. I don't think that the better quality data is really worth as much as they're charging for it for what I'm doing. So maybe if I was doing some sort of automated scalping, only in for a second type of trading, then maybe TT would make sense from that perspective. But that's why I don't do it. They're getting better though. We'll see. I want to see trading technologies add some of those DOM features, and I want to see Jigsaw add charts. Let them go at it. Look at that high. They're going to get that high. Go get it. Go get it. There's going to be some stops. Those are some stops. Thank you. Oh, feels so much better, guys. I feel so much better now that there have been stop orders beyond 2882. And we formed a new high. They thought that for so long. Somebody's losing money there on that one. Okay, they did overextend there a little bit. Well, we've come back quickly, though. I think we're okay. I think we're okay. So do you think Ninja's order flow tools are worth it? Well, I don't know if they're worth it that I would buy the $900 license just for those tools, but I do think that the platform is fairly priced. I think that their order flow tools need to get better. I'd like to see more. I've written my own stuff that I think is more effective. So I show you guys over here. I wanted to use this as an exit signal, but it hasn't really given them to me today. Maybe they might have warned me about a trade, but I think that we've been in from here, right? We've been in all the way from here. So maybe we could have gone out there, but here you can see the little bit of the larger orders coming in here on the bid, messing with the bid. Came up. Seems to those large orders placed on the limit seem to affect things. I suspect though that it's not really affecting the market. I bet you that they're putting it on there because something is happening, like a stock moves or something like that, and so an algorithm has a reason to put a big bid out there, and then everybody else is reacting to the same thing in a different way. But they seem to come in at key points, so I'm going to continue watching that. The target is still 28.94, so I should be able to hold for more. I don't know if I will, but we'll see. There's definitely more. That one puts us not quite at break even. Close though. We'll get there. Now that we've had this move like this, I can just move this up to like here. Let it run. So 5 minutes. 28.94 is the volatility projection. Right? 28.94 even, roughly. I don't know. You're probably going to tell me what the exact number is. Bots is probably going to tell me the exact number. But it's around 94, 95. The problem is that we haven't been trading into those until like the close. So I don't know how long you want to hold it for. I've got 28, 91, 29. Okay. Oh, that's actually very different. 91. Based on what VIX opening price? Based on 34.16 or 33.19? Probably yours was slightly different. That one might be slightly different. Must not be picking the right price. Interesting. Well, we can change that. I don't know if one matters more than the other, but it's going to be around that area, right? You can see there that the open, I'm trying to take the 34.16. But if you didn't, if it was the close of that bar, you'd get a lot lower, and that could change it by 5 points. So, but I'm going off of the trading view one because that's the one that they can look at. Trump gives up on virus fight to focus on economy, recovery, and re-election from The Guardian. Well, that's I think he's giving up on trying to play the media over it is probably what's really happening. And in a response like that, I think he might have made a mistake. He's certainly coming out in front and getting ahead of it and everything was a good idea. But trying to treat it like a big PR opportunity, I think, was a mistake. I think that you want to try and downplay it as much as possible and not get everybody thinking about it. Because you cannot win the battle in a disaster. The media will always find something to hit you over the head with. Because somebody's always suffering. Yeah, I saw this also on TikTok the other day, and they said, if you're helping somebody out, say they're in dire straits and you're giving them money, then when the assistance stops, they're not going to love you. They're going to come up with some reason for why they're a victim and you're treating them badly, even though you were helping them. I've seen this many times. When I was a missionary, it was very often that we would be there'd be families that were were having trouble, and the ward would come in and help them do things like help clean up the house because their house was just completely, oh my gosh, like a garbage dump. And then after they help them, and then when the help is gone, oh, poor us. Every time. Now, of course, we're talking about people that are probably not all there, but I've just noticed that that's the way that they are. So when the assistance is gone, the gratitude is gone, and they're the victim. And I think it's the same thing with the coronavirus response. It's like it doesn't matter how much the government helps. Doesn't matter how effective you were. At the end of the day, when the assistance is pulled away, or uh, that everything is done and gone, people are going to find a reason to make themselves out to be the victim. So putting yourself in front of it is probably not the right strategy. Biden's campaign to feature his letter exchanges with supporters in a new digital series called Sincerely Joe Biden. Oh, that okay. This sounds like this is going to be fun. Joe, what is he gonna? What do they got? This is going to be interesting to watch. I got 28.91. Yeah, with your VIX from the Kinetic. But what is the price that it actually used to calculate it? I would have to go back and debug it. There's probably slight differences between the NinjaTrader one and the one that we've got going on the trading view. But let's not treat it as an exact line, right? JR, no good deed goes unpunished. There you go. There you go. Okay, he says 3416, and it's using. Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know why they're different then. Could also be a different open price. Maybe the open price that TradingView is using is wrong. I don't know. The thing is that when I did it in NinjaTrader, it's just using the change of the session. So it kind of depends on how your template is set up, right? It's so funny when I look back on my chart now. I tell you, this whole area right here sure looks bearish. Sure looks bearish there, guys. Lost some money in there. But in the end, my long bias was correct. So this is where I'm saying, like, there are some components. Like, I think that we have a component that tells me when to trade really well. Kind of gives us the better opportunity to actually catch the swing. But now the question really is like, can we find a way to manage our way through the down period right there? You know, could we have taken some trades in there and managed it in a way that we could pull a little bit of profit out of that and given ourselves some room so that it would have been even easier to hold it for the eventual long that comes? And then if you get that one wrong and the eventual long doesn't come and you stop out, is it still minimize the losses? There's much work that needs to be done. I think we're gonna need to continue to look for some, additional edges here. I actually start getting the VIX data around 3:15, and Gary Rich says just use the closing data for VIX. Trying to calculate hour by hour doesn't have much use. No, yeah, well, you're totally right with that, Gary. We only calculate it once. So what I'm having to do is on the ES open price, VIX open price. That's what it's supposed to use. There might be one bar off based on your template and whether I was using the open price and what calculate method you have. And so it might be that's probably accounts for the difference between TradingView and NinjaTrader. But it's splitting hairs, really, right? I'd probably rather go off of the NinjaTrader one, but I just don't get that data, so it gives us a roundabout answer. We might be able to do a little bit more back testing on it. Like we could say, let's do a distribution profile. Take that number, and then do a distribution to say how far away is the close from that number on average, and then we could use that to adjust, and then we could do it again and use the previous day's closing value for the VIX and calculate it that way and see if there's a difference. And if we're actually, I'm guessing that it would probably just be noise, but then we would know for sure, you know. I don't know if that all made sense, but we can program it, and I just have to give it to Watson. He'll have to run it to see it work out, to see what the numbers are. It'll be a little bit more complicated one. It'll be hard to do without being able to directly debug it. Yeah, the VIX prior close was 35.97. Percentage of moves of the VIX between close to new open is so tiny it's not useful unless one wanted to do a mid-session recalculation. Right. Well, and the thing is that the difference was 5 points, and I don't think that it's ever going to be exactly on, right? So we shouldn't try and look at it as an exact number. You know, just a roundabout number. They usually go through it. The chances of 28.95 being touched are relatively good, right? That's a pretty good target area. Well, that last run up there was interesting. Did they not make a new high on it, did they? They're about to. Somebody stopped out there, probably. I think he was waiting for it to come back down a little bit more, and he decided to just puke it. Or a stock, there was news. Yeah, we're probably going to need to pull up a squawk and like listen to equity news and see if some of those moves are correlated to those. President Trump, we have so much testing. I don't think you need that kind of testing or that much testing. Okay. He's giving one of those Rose Garden press gaggles where he just is allowed to answer as many questions as he wants. Guess it could be part of why the market's moving up, huh? Oh, it's 9:38. I'm like, I'm supposed to be doing something. My indicator recalculates it once it starts to see the data coming in and around 3:15, and then calculates it again at the 9:30. Oh, well, there you go. You changed it, huh? Remember, the number is just an expected move. The figure is only 64%. 36% of the time it doesn't occur or hit that exact percentage move. Of the 50% target? Really? I thought it would be higher than 64%. I guess not. But yeah, that's the way I look at it. But I've been looking at it as like, okay, we're getting a strong move up, so they're gonna go for the upside target. So that's the in terms of like probability of a price touching. That's like the best one that I have. No, I didn't change it. That's just how it works. Oh, well, no, I should be shutting down the stream because I gotta get to work. So yeah. Anyways, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. I will let you guys know. I think something's wrong in here because this one's gone further than it's saying. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, if the expected move is 3%, it doesn't hit it all the time. I got you. Wow, I think that there can be more upside, so I'm gonna hold it. So sorry you didn't get to see how it turns out, but I think that if we go back to where we stopped at, then that would be fine too. It could happen. We're gonna have to work some things out. All right, so and maybe this is just one of those days where that happens. I don't know. Okay, tomorrow.